Next up, stepping up to the mic, I'd like to introduce a wordsmith, legendary in his own right. Give it up for St. Patrick.
Yeah. Thank you. One round of applause for the lovely Jihan. Okay, Black Wax, hello.
Hey,
it's been a couple months. I missed last month. I had a family reunion, and it went awesomely. I'm not going to get into the semantics of it, but it was good. So, show of hands in the audience. Who here in the audience has ever been to a poetry slam? Okay, most people. Awesome. Cool. So I'm just going to explain this as a courtesy. There was a slam yesterday. The first ever slam held in Jersey City, New Jersey, at the Lenape House, and I happened to win it. Which was no easy task, because this is how a slam works. You start with 8 poets. Those 8 poets are chopped down into 4 poets. Those 4 poets are chopped down into 2 poets. Those 2 poets go head to head, do a poem each, a sudden death match poem, and whoever is voted the winner wins. And the way that they're voted is there are random people in the audience, 5 judges, all scoring from 1 to 10, and the lowest score and the highest score are dropped. The 3 middle scores comprise the poet's score for that particular round, and whoever comes out on top is the slam master and gets all the street cred and all that stuff. So that went all right for me yesterday. And there's in slam poetry, you only get 3 minutes to do your poems. 3 minutes with a 10-second grace period. And every 10 seconds that you go over that 3 minute and 10 mark, they chop a half a point or a point depending on the venue. So I challenged myself to write a slam poem about the semantics of writing a successful slam poem. In 3 minutes. Exactly 3 minutes. So, if anybody in the audience has a stopwatch on their cell phone and would like to time this, see if it's exactly 3 minutes long when I'm done, please feel free to do so now. During this moment of silence for Corey Haim. A couple people got it, so that's cool. Alright. Everybody ready with their cell phones? I see like one person doing it. That's fine. I only need one. Okay. I'm going to start out in a low and nostalgic tone of voice, one that lends a sense of realness to my words. I'll begin with a quote by some famous author, the context of which may seem confusing at first, but will become satisfyingly clear as I continue to talk. No, wait, better yet. I'm going to give you a piece of long ago reality from my life, or someone else's life, or something entirely made up. It'll seem totally innocuous for now, but its theme will carry on throughout the piece, and there's going to be a little exchange or place name or chunk of wordplay from this segment that will reappear later on in the piece, serving dual purposes in both ticking off points for cleverness and figuratively bringing everything full circle. I've only got 3 minutes to make this the most biting, insight-felt, heartfelt, painful, and relevant thing you've ever heard, and I've already spent 40 seconds on the setup, which was necessary, but it's definitely time to move on. Now, at this point, I'm trading past memory for present tension. I want my audience to respect that, and the tone of my voice should reflect that. I'm going to fire off similes and metaphors at warp speed, seeds spread dense like weeds in each listener's mind, find time to breathe those alliterative leads that feed the need for internal rhyme, an elixir of unrepentant sentences, an alphabet soup of holy shit, just the right mixture of poetic device and pop culture reference, with a sprinkle of nice and a dash of my preference. And this is not a rhyming couplet, commonly called a hook, just a line designed to seem so from the shape that it took. I'm not the type to be so trite to drive my point home with a hook, though you might find this next line suspect. It's just the shape that it took. Now, here I've been talking for all of 1 minute and 20 seconds, and I haven't used one piece of shock imagery to responsibly jostle my audience. So, babies in blood, back alley abortions, malaria-faced political affiliation contortions, serial killers on the porch, roaches in the salad. Watch every red-blooded face go from pulsing to pallid. And now, I'll simultaneously break rhythm and please all my current event heads by saying something topical like, the only people who care that Tiger Woods is going to play golf next week are slut-bong waitresses the world over and the manufacturers of Ambien. Too far? Oh shit, that's my calling card. And now as I reach climax, filthy in your face like IMAX, I tax all my natural talent so you'll get a fat return. I got a cause to protect. I'm gonna pause for effect. Not in this poem, there's no time in this poem, in some other poem. And every other trick I know to make the numbered placards turn. Like, this is the part of the poem where I talk really fast but enunciate my words very clearly so you can still understand what I'm saying even though I'm talking really fast. Because I want everybody in the room to know that I feel a certain type of way about this particular issue. And I'm not gonna stop talking, but I fully expect to hear incessant clapping, intermittent snapping. Woo! Yeah! Church! Tell it like it is! With syncopated foot stomping and knee slapping. Check the clock. 2 minutes and 32 seconds in. I've made my point and all that's left is to bring back that exchange or place name or chunk of wordplay from earlier. You remember. The one that serves dual purposes in both ticking off points for cleverness while figuratively bringing everything full circle. I prepare my exit, composed, as my time draws to a close. I'm so grateful you were here to watch me stumble, and my Santana-like pose repeats what everybody knows. I might be decent at this, but I'm still humble. Thank you.
Patrick! My goodness! So let's hear some feedback about that. Anything. Peter?
It was astounding. You got it going on. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That was great feedback. Thank you.
I think he really pulls you into every word, every phrase. It's almost different. It's almost like watching multiple characters, you know, all together in this one piece, and it takes you and just never lets you go. It's excellent poet. And I really don't. Typically, I don't like poetry. It's like neon. This is more than poetry, I think.
Yeah.
And it was 2 minutes and 55 seconds, so you.
Wow. The first time I've actually heard poetry live, anytime I ever heard it, it was like the Def Poetry Jam with most Def hosting. But this is the first time I actually got to see it live. And I'd like to thank Open Source for giving me the experience. Crazy, I love it.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
He's a teacher. He always makes me want to go home and like write. But then I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. Simi.
So very impressed. Very impressed. I've never heard words put together like that before. And so, good job.
Nana.
I want to comment on the performance because, you know, for me, there's a difference between poetry because, you know, just me. I mean, they're kind of like separate genres. They get mashed together a lot. You know, there are people who write fantastic poetry. We probably never hear them read it out loud, but they're still fantastic poets. And then, of course, there's spoken word where you do have to perform and you have to, you know, emote and you have to kind of take the poem off the page and put it on the stage and, you know, and perform it for people. But I think that you are a fantastic performer in terms of you've like reawakened my faith in spoken word because it was so
Dead.
that monotone, whatever that cadence is that everybody does every time, all the time, it's so whack, and I just wish people would stop. And I just think that this is the kind
But
of
it's
stuff
so
that kind
cool.
of, you know, it's awaken people's interest in spoken word, authentic spoken word. I think they're fantastic.
That's right.
I found it very entertaining, and I think what was most entertaining about it is, you know, they say intellectual is a person who can do a thing and be thinking about the doing of the thing simultaneously. And so I got that intellectual component out of it. But it was funny because it seems as though you were critiquing the cliches of these tropes, but at the same time using them to good effect. And so that makes the audience have to think about, you know, how much of a dupe we are for falling for it, even as it's being critiqued.
That is exactly it.
Thanks. And Cheryl, how did you feel about that? Yes. Yeah.
It was wonderful. Excellent.
That's right. That's right. You hear that? Don't stop. Right? St. Patrick, guys. Give it up one more time.